What do the Raiders do with AB now?
In all seriousness, I think they need to suspend him. And I think they need to suspend him for the first couple of games. I'll leave it to Max to get into, football being a violent sport, the kind of damage you're kind of wondering what's wrong with Antonio Brown right now. But there is no excuse for that kind of belligerence and that kind of unprofessionalism. I want to remind everybody of this, and this is very important to remember. Antonio Brown is not T.O. He's not one of these receivers trying to get out of their contract to get themselves a new deal. We understood what was going on in Pittsburgh. The guaranteed money went out. The Steelers weren't looking to re-up him long term. He wanted to ensure that he's getting his money. You're playing a very violent sport. We understand that. Right. That's business. But you got your $30 million in guaranteed dollars from Oakland. They paid you. The foot ailment that you have because of that cryo, what is it? Cryotherapy in France.
Crimea River.
He forgot to put the socks on.
But listen,
got frostbite.
That has nothing to do with the Raiders. The helmet issue, where you filed 2 grievances against the National Football League.
Yes, sir.
That had nothing to do with the Raiders. So for Mike Mayock to write you a letter and to talk about fining you, remember, it wasn't because you were arguing those things. It was because you refused to show up in practice. You didn't even have to engage in contact drills. You had went home. You weren't even around the team some of the time. That's what the fine was about. So for him to then turn around and to get belligerent, and I know you see people saying, well, Mike Mayock's got to be smarter and you can't confront the dude in front of the lock. All right, I got that. But the bottom line is, you're a grown-ass man. What do you think you're doing threatening to physically harm and a general manager? You got to suspend him. You have to suspend him. And John Gruden has to suspend him because if he doesn't, Max DeMarcus, if he doesn't do it, then basically you're stripping Mike Mayock of the power that a GM is supposed to have.
This is not me. I'm not the disciplinarian sort. But you don't have to suspend him. You have to let him go. You got to try.
Really?
You got to try to get that $30 million back. I hate to say it, but I think there's something wrong with Antonio Brown. I think he may need help. His agent is having to answer questions about his sanity, about his mental health. Guys, this is, and by the way, everyone knows, they're making jokes about it on Twitter for a day now, but everyone knows what's going to happen. Belichick will wind up getting him for the league minimum, and somehow he'll be a good citizen, right? But the Raiders have to let him go. First of all, there's the money. He's showing that he won't take yes for an answer. AB, you got everything you want. You got the team. You're the big star. You got you got out of your old deal. You got $30 million guaranteed. You won't take yes for an answer. So, and it keeps getting worse, and it keeps escalating. Like, I was sitting here yesterday saying, I think he's gotten to the point where he has my sympathy again. Right. At first I was like, yo, what are you doing? And at this point, he has my sympathy again because I think there's something wrong here. First, the helmet. And he threatens to retire and all this. Wait, what? Then that goes by, and he's missing stuff he's supposed to be there for. And then he gets fined like everyone else, and he tweets it out to the world and throws his team under the bus. And like he's at war with his own teammates, his brand new teammates. And at that point yesterday, I said, I can't believe this. But this season's already more about controversy than production for him. I'm not that type of person who's like looking for that with athletes, because stuff happens in everybody's lives and they're under a microscope. But then since yesterday, it comes out this dude is trying to physically assault his GM.
You know what's the best part? You know who was the peacemaker in all this? Vontaze Burfict. So fitting. He was the one settling things down.
Can I say something real quick? Let me say something real quick about Burfict, and I'll let you go. Burfict knows when someone's about to flip. Like, Burfict has that impulse control situation. The fact that it was Burfict who held them back makes me think AB is not bluff. Like, AB really wanted to fight.
But when you sit back and think about it, for much is received with this $30 million contract, the criticism is going to come with that. And you already talked about the professionalism that an athlete should have. You're a role model. And now you're never going to win when you go against an owner. They are the ultimate keeper when it comes to the decisions on the team. And you came in and there were problems already with the helmet, with the cryo stuff, right? Where is the professionalism in the player of Antonio Brown? You should be the captain of the offense, going in saying that if you go to off-season, playoff game, or if you go to a preseason game and you don't play, what are people going to think? Is he that guy? So I just think that at the end of the day, responsibility and your attitude are going to be judged no matter what.
What about the fact that he's escalating? Like, it looks to me like every time there's a controversy, he's like, oh, hold my beer. You think that was bad? I'm going to raise it.
I want to come back to what you said, though, Max. Here's why I disagree with you about just letting him go right now. I have to be sure I can get my money. I'm not going to.
That's a great point at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose $30 million and watch you play for the Patriots.
Right.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'm not paying you $30 million to beat me with
I'm not doing
Belichick.
that.
Right.
I got to make sure. Now, if there's a way, and this is why the suspension is so important, because remember, his salary is guaranteed for the rest of the season if he shows up week 1. So the point is, if you don't show up week 1, then that jeopardizes the guarantee, from my understanding.
Right.
And my point is, that's the kind of situation. Now, see, when you put him under that bubble, if he act up then, you know he's a lost cause.
Right.
I totally
cause.
agree with that.
That's right.
And I get that the Raiders have had a history of being like the bad boy reputation, still at times being able to be successful. But to me, you're getting ready to move to Vegas. Gruden is still the newish head coach. He has a lot of power, the whole thing. Even as a culture setter, DeMarcus, like, don't they have to do something even just to set the culture?
But the thing is, you're talking about the culture. The guys that been problem childs, they always were there. They always practiced. They always performed. There was not time missing from my attitude and the problems that I had. And they made their money. Yeah. So no matter what, the problems are there, but I don't see any results.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.